Hello YouTube and welcome back to another video. Today I'd like to address one of the most frequently asked questions I get, and that is, why do you collect fire alarms? What's so interesting about them? Whether you're an outside viewer who's just stumbling across this random channel about fire alarms, or you're a longtime viewer and you also collect fire alarms, or you're a fire alarm technician, I'm sure at some point you've had this question. This is something I see a lot in my comment sections. People frequently ask this in person when it comes up, and it might actually be an interesting question, so I'm going to answer it today. My experience with fire alarms started with a fire drill when I was in second grade. I remember the fire alarms went off. I think they made an announcement over the speakers that they were going to go off, and for some reason I was kind of excited for them to go off. At the time I didn't know anything about fire alarm systems, but when they went off I think I was just really stimulated. I think it was part of the fact that I was an elementary schooler who did not want to be in class, so when the alarms went off and all the strobes and the bells and whistles and things like that went off, I was like, that's pretty cool. So I went home and I went on my mom's computer and I was like, there's a bunch of people on the internet who collect these things. So I started searching up things about fire alarms, trying to figure out what type were in my school, and it kind of started from there. Of course, it really started as a very obsessive hobby, I'm not gonna lie. I remember at the start I was so obsessed that I'd make fire alarms out of paper, and I mean, these were detailed 3D models that I'd tape around the house. I'd even hold flashlights up to them to pretend they were going off, and I'd make the noises. I remember I'd also draw them in art class. I mean, I was obsessed. When I found my first fire alarm in a parking garage, I was really excited. I was never able to get it to work. I do still have it, but I carried that thing everywhere, and it's completely destroyed because of that. But I remember my first experience actually wiring up a fire alarm was with a Wheelock AS that I got my mom to buy me off of eBay. And it was a very fulfilling experience, honestly. I think looking back, it was a very important part of my development as someone who likes to learn things and likes to work on projects hands-on, because yeah, it was a pretty simple process. All I did was wire a phone cord to a fire alarm device and get it to sound. But internally, as, I don't know, an 8-year-old or a 7-year-old, it's really fascinating to just get things to work in the real world. And I think that's something I've carried with me for many years and years to come. In December of 2015, I started my YouTube channel, Fire Alarm Dude 5967, which you're currently watching this video on. I didn't expect it to do anything. I mean, I was a third grader. I just wanted to have a YouTube channel because I saw all these other fancy people with YouTube channels, but it's really become something quite unexpected. I literally made this channel on my school account, which at one point almost got me terminated, but that's a different story for another day. But at the time, I just wanted a place to share my experiences with the world. I'd film a couple of my fire alarm system tests. Either way though, as I grew older, I started branching into the other fields of fire protection, that is like fire suppression systems, like fire sprinklers, fire extinguishers, emergency lighting, pretty much anything that was related to fire. That was kind of my niche. But I really found an interesting passion in all of these systems. I think what really started to interest me was not just the obsessive factor of, oh yeah, these are the fire alarms that make these noises, and these are the different models, but these are fire protection devices. They were designed by somebody to save lives and protect people, and they're installed in pretty much every single building for a reason. Of course, I'm always interested in learning the nerdy side and kind of the background of these fire devices, but what really interests me is just learning how these things interact and seeing how they work. I think that's really where the value is. Of course, fire alarms are such a niche hobby, but I think there's a lot to learn, and I think that's what makes it such a special hobby. Of course, being a kid and learning how to explore with fire alarms doesn't seem like a really important thing, but just the pattern of wanting to do something, figuring out how to do it, and then seeing it work is just such a valuable thing, because it teaches you the value of working hands-on and figuring things out. And honestly, I can say that it's really helped me a lot. It taught me how to use tools. It got me into, doing all sorts of things. Right now, I do all the home improvement projects in my house. I like to build things, and I can say that it all came from fire alarms. Now let's talk about what the fire alarm community is. There's been a lot of publicity about the fire alarm community. I think it's partially because of that one screenshot of the dude going, "Do I regret joining the fire alarm community?" But it's kind of really funny to me that there's actually a community out there. Like, after all these years, I'm still shocked that there's other people out there who collect fire alarms. But simply put, the fire alarm community is just a group of people on the internet who collect fire alarms. It's not like an organization or like a group that requires like entry or anything. People treat it like a cult for some reason. It's actually so funny to me how seriously people take the fire alarm community thing as if it's like some nationally accredited organization. Like, I'll see people being like, "I'm leaving the fire alarm community," or people complaining like, "There's so much drama in the fire alarm community." I mean, it's just not that deep. If you do what you want, You get what you want out of it. It's your choice whether you want to get involved in stuff or not. But again, it's just not that serious. Another thing I get a lot is people asking if I'm autistic. People will comment things like, "The autism is apparent in this video," or they'll just straight up point blank ask if I'm autistic. The answer for me is no, I'm not, but I understand that a lot of the fire alarm community and the people who watch my videos are neurodivergent because fire alarms are a fairly common hyperfixation. I can understand when people ask politely, but when people say things like, "The autism is apparent," I think that's a weird and inappropriate thing to say to anyone. I'm not neurodivergent, but I can totally see how someone who is might read that and find that offensive. If you wouldn't say it to someone in a professional environment, you probably shouldn't say it in the comment section either. I'm not sure why people are so nasty about it. I think it's a positive thing that we should embrace. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on the fire alarm hobby and my experience as a whole. I want to finish off this video by emphasizing that it's all about balance. If you can balance fire alarms with other aspects of your life, then you can keep it as a healthy hobby. Fire alarms have certainly taught me a lot. Every build, home project, or repair I've ever done, every device I've installed, every tool I've touched, started from this. A simple fire alarm, something people walk by every day without caring. What fire alarms taught me is that sometimes the most mundane and unexpected things can inspire you to explore, but only if you're curious enough to explore your passions. Thank you for watching. Please do like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Farewell.